I recently moved into a new house. It's an old Victorian-style mansion with high ceilings and long hallways. It looks beautiful during the day, but at night it feels like a horror movie set. It all started about 2 weeks ago. My dog, Winston, who's normally very laid back and chill, began acting strangely. Winston would pace the house restlessly, then stop dead in his tracks, staring intensely at the corner of the room. I got up to investigate, half expecting to see a mouse or maybe a stray cat, but there was nothing there. At first, I thought it was just a mouse or some other small animal that had made its way into the house. I even set up a trap in the corner to catch the little critter, but it turned out to be empty. The hair on his back was on end, and he growled quietly. His eyes were locked onto the hallway. That's when I noticed it too. A dark shape standing in the hallway. Winston never seemed to mind the trap. He'd just sit right next to it, growling softly. He began growling and barking, then suddenly lunged towards the camera. I could hear the thump of his paws on the floor through the feed. He froze and didn't move for what felt like hours. Something was out there. Something he wanted me to see. Just as he lunged again, a black shadow flickered across the hallway. She was whispering something, but I couldn't hear what she was saying. One night, he suddenly started barking, backing away from the corner, as if whatever was there had finally emerged. He took off running, dashing through the house, then came back, jumping frantically on my bed. At that moment, Winston let out a low growl, and I knew it wasn't just a playful warning. I could feel the fear radiating off him. It happened again the next night, and the night after that. Every night for a week, he'd start barking around 3:11 a.m., backing away from the corner, growling and baring his teeth. Who knows what could have happened here in the past? Though I didn't take it seriously at first, thinking it was all in my head, I couldn't help but feel uneasy. He asked about the history of the house and I told him everything I knew. Then one night, Winston stood by my bedroom door, staring down the hallway. Sometimes animals can sense things humans can't, he said. The previous owner had taken their own life 3 years ago. The exact time of death, according to the records, was 3:11 a.m. The same time Winston had been fixated on the corner of the room. They pick up on subtle changes in their surroundings, sounds, smells, energies. I remembered locking it before going to bed. Could someone have broken in? I didn't want to scare myself, so I tried to ignore it. But Winston started barking furiously. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. The next day, I installed a CCTV camera facing the hallway. That night, I left the room so I could monitor the feed. He might have heard something outside that I could untoo or was sensing something I was unaware of. This time, though, it was more clear. It seemed to be taking shape. Sure enough, the news articles mentioned the former owner's tragic death. A successful businesswoman who had taken her own life after suffering from depression. Every creak of the house, every rustle of leaves against the window made me jump. I spent the night watching the door, waiting for something, anything, to happen. Winston started his usual pacing, then stopped, his attention fixed on the hallway. As he backed away, growling, the camera shook violently. As I watched, a black shadow flickered across the hallway. I could unshake off the feeling that what I was seeing was somehow connected to the previous owner. The hallway was dark, lit only by the faint glow of the security cameras, but the shadow was unmistakable. He lifted his head and let out a loud bark. For a moment, everything went quiet. Winston stood still, ears perked, listening intently. Then he turned and stared at the ceiling. Suddenly, Winston stiffened and let out a sharp bark. I sat there watching, frozen in fear. I reached out to comfort him, but he flinched away, growling softly. He was sweating, his eyes wide open and frantic. That night, I dreamed of a woman standing over me, her face pale and lifeless, eyes hollow. In the dream, I felt like she was reaching out to me, trying to tell me something important. I woke up in a cold sweat. I'd moved in only a few weeks ago, but the house had been empty for years before that. Shaking off the dream, I sat up. That's when I noticed my bedroom door was open. I got up, my heart pounding, and checked the lock. It hadn't been forced. Someone had clearly opened it from the inside, but I was the only person in the house. Sleep became impossible. But dawn eventually broke, and with it, the feeling of dread slowly receded. I decided to call an animal behavior expert. Maybe Winston was reacting to something in his environment. The man arrived and spoke with me about Winston's behavior. He listened patiently, and when I finished, he gave me a sad smile. He suggested conducting a small experiment to see if Winston's behavior was triggered by a specific location or time. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. See you next time. And that's when I learned that a woman had died in the house. Feeling shocked and unnerved, I asked the specialist to leave. I needed to confront this myself. Back in my room, I did some digging online. Could Winston be reacting to her ghost? Was he trying to warn me about something? Determined to find out, I attached a camera to his collar and let him roam the house while I monitored the footage on my phone. Winston walked through the house, sniffing around, seemingly unaware of any danger. For hours, nothing unusual happened. Then it happened. The hairs on my arms stood on end. It was the same shadow I'd seen on the CCTV footage. Winston didn't seem to notice it, or if he did, he didn't seem afraid. I held my breath as the shadow slowly approached Winston. It was coming closer and closer. He continued sniffing around, completely oblivious to the approaching shadow. But just as the shadow was about to reach him, Winston suddenly stiffened. The shadow stopped dead in its tracks. For a moment, there was only silence. He paced the room, growling softly, then suddenly bolted toward the corner where the ghost appeared. Then the shadow began to recede, slowly backing away from Winston. Over the next few days, I kept a close eye on Winston. The thought that a ghost was haunting the house seemed absurd, yet the evidence I'd seen with my own eyes was undeniable. Then one night, Winston started his nightly ritual. This time, though, instead of finding comfort in the corner, he curled up in a ball, trembling. His entire body shook violently, as if he were having a seizure. He whimpered softly, his eyes wide with terror. I rushed to his side, kneeling down and wrapping him in my arms. "It's okay, boy," I whispered, though I wasn't sure if he could hear me. "It's okay." He trembled in my arms, his body racked with sobs. It was the most heartbreaking thing I'd ever seen. And in that moment, I realized that Winston wasn't just barking at an empty corner. I had Winston by my side, and that was all that mattered. I would stay in the house with Winston, face whatever was haunting us together. He was trying to protect me from something I couldn't see, something that terrified him. As the sun rose, I made a decision. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I wasn't willing to give up my home because of a ghost. And anyway, I wasn't alone. As the darkness of night fell once again, I held Winston close, feeling his warmth and the steady beat of his heart beneath my fingers. Whatever was out there, whatever lurked in the shadows of our home, we would face it together. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what happened, I wasn't truly alone. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.